All right, teammates, we've got overwhelming response from the LPD for the Raiders philosophy. I probably sent out about 200 copies to people, and I'm willing to send it out to everybody because I think we all should know. And so the first one right there is the Raiders philosophy. We're going to go over it in detail for what a most qualified person is. The second document is, some of the most important things that I learned as a chaplain, just hearing people talk and hearing people express themselves about they thought they were most qualified. The boss is wrong. The boss is this. The boss is that. He doesn't see my value. Well, one of the things I learned, man, what a great job this is just to listen to people and see how they process. One of the things I learned from the early time as a captain, it doesn't matter how well you're doing if you don't know the boss's intent. I'm going to say that again because I think it's very important. It doesn't matter how well you're doing if you don't know the boss's intent. If you don't understand, if you don't understand what this document says, what your actual senior raider or raider is looking for, it really doesn't matter how excellent you think you are. It really doesn't matter that you think that you're the best at your job and how competent you are. If the boss says he sees people who are most qualified as people who go to airborne school, people who do really well on the ACFT or the AFT, then that's what he's looking for. If he says that in the job you should progress and go to school and obtain some additional education, then that's what that person is looking for. Well, you may not like it and you may dispute it and you can quote any regulation that you want. That person has a philosophy, okay? And you say, well, that's not fair. Well, I got an old saying, go to the fair. So anyway, as a leader, I wanted to find out how to do it different. So in my initial counseling with all of my people, I let them know in particular what I am specifically looking for most qualified. And we're going to go over some of those things just from my perspective on what I'm looking for. The second document that I give them, because we having a long talk, this is no 30-minute talk about what I'm looking for as a leader, all right? And so one of the things I thought to be most unfair, as you may have thought before, is knowing it's not unfair that it takes me 6 or 7 months to know what this leader is thinking. So I said to myself, I want to be a better leader than that. And so when at my time as Lieutenant Colonel, I was getting ready to go into be a division chaplain. We had a 3-star, and he sent out this document of who I am, right? And it told you all of the things he likes, all the things he dislikes, and all the things that even made him mad. And I saw, oh my God, this is profound. So if you understand this document, then you really have the key to who this person is. So I decided to formulate something in the same vein. And so my top one says, and I won't go over all of them, but my top one says, I want to take care of people. And so if you're not taking care of your people, it's hard for me to take care of you. Okay? I said that transitions are important. OERs, hail and farewells, all of those things that soldiers need to be taken care of, I expect you to do those things. That tells you who I am as a person. I also listed my pet peeves, right? I'm a time guy, right? And so there's an old saying, better 3 hours too soon than a minute too late. If you're showing up to my meetings late without a word that you're going to be late, there's no sense in me fussing. There's no sense in me getting angry. The bottom line is, I told you up front, I don't like that. And so when it's time for evaluations or when it's time for your quarterly counseling, I'm going to mention that. And so if you don't choose to change that when it's time for your evaluation, you already know the bottom line is that you didn't do what was asked for you. And now as a leader, I have documentation to say that that person didn't do that. One of the other things I have on there, I said, if I'm angry, I'll tell you. Yeah, leaders can get angry. I know people are afraid these days, right? But leaders can actually get angry. And if I'm angry, if I'm not happy about something, I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to say it in a mean way. I'm not going to say it in a nasty way. And let me just give you something from my leadership philosophy. If an event is going on and you're not briefing me or my sergeant major, yeah, you're wrong. And I'm going to call you to task on that, because there's no event that should be happening without my knowledge or the sergeant major's knowledge. And so we can discuss it and decide how we're going to go forth and make that happen. Okay. Professionalism. Professionalism is readiness to me. So if I am the senior in the office and I come in to talk to you, you still slouched over in the seat, I'm not going to correct you, but I would just tell you, in my opening, who am I? It tells you professional courtesy is the bedrock of readiness. And so therefore, if you're not doing those things, if you choose not to do those things, when it's time for me to counsel you, I'm going to counsel you on those things. Okay? Counseling. I talk about counseling a lot. I have a lot of counseling with my folks. Sometimes we just sit in the office and we go over those things that I'm talking to you about on my particular who am I, right? Or the Raiders philosophy. And if I'm counseling you, one of my pet peeves is you should be counseling your subordinates. I know it's going to take a little courage to do that because nobody likes to be confrontational. But communication is not confrontation. Communication is not confrontation. It is essential that you let people know where they are in your eyesights. Okay, that is a big deal for me, because at NCOER time or OER time, I don't want you coming in my office surprised about this document, about these words that are going to be on that paper, because I've already outlined to you specifically what I need you to do. And if there's any question, about that document or my thoughts, you're more than free to make an office call and we can talk about it. The last thing on here, most people have a problem with on every staff that I go to. I always tell them, I don't do drive-bys. What does that mean? I'm an extremely busy person. So I'm not only doing my job here at USAPAC, the bottom line, I'm the imam for the whole Army and sometimes even the Air Force. So I don't do drive-bys. Now, you could come in. I could be looking at you dead in your face because I'm not a rude person. And you could be telling me something and expecting me to take that information. Well, I'm taking the information, but I'm not really listening. And so people get offended by that. That's why it's important for you just to make a call, make a meeting, and then therefore we can actually talk about the issues. I can write it down or whatever. It's not that I'm not listening to people, but if you read who I am, I don't like drive-bys because I got 10,000 things on my mind. So anyway, I hope this helped you. I hope this helps you. And so I'd like to have a further discussion. We can sit down and talk about it. We can do teams about it. We can do whatever you want about it. But I think we need to have a better understanding of our leaders and what they're actually thinking and what they're actually asking of us. Hey, hope this helped. Let USAPAC say amen.